where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra-powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Welcome to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson, filling in for Tom. I am the executive director of Social Security Works and the co-owner of We Act Radio. And I am happy to be here today, but it is a big news day. So we got a lot to talk about, but it really is just all one story. And that story is the billionaire class continuing their assault on the American people. And unfortunately, at this point, I'd have to say, making some great progress. And I think we could start with just the deeply un-American event last night where you had billionaire corporate media fire super popular late night comedian and talk show host, Jimmy Kimmel, now the second talk show host who has drawn the ire of the elected president of the United States of America and has then been fired by the billionaire corporate media structure. There's no leap here. Donald Trump is taking credit for it. Donald Trump today said, something like 2 down, 2 to go. So he is dictating who gets to say what. That's not the constitutionally protected free speech that this country desperately needs to survive. That is the sort of actions that you would see in a country with a despot, right? Not sort of. It's absolute reading of the playbook, right? So let me try to stitch it together. Why? I mean, the how is important, but the how is easy, right? There are billion-dollar corporations who want to, Nexstar wants to do a $6.2 billion takeover of Tegna, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. These are the 2 largest carriers of local news combined under one umbrella, and they know they have to get that through the Trump FCC, which is run by an open partisan for Donald Trump, a guy whose entire belief system is if it's good for Donald Trump, then it flies, and if it's not good, then it doesn't. And so the corporations are all doing the same thing. They're kissing the ring. They're kneeling before their, their wannabe dictator. You have influencers on the right who are just openly calling for Trump to be a dictator. And then you get to the why. I mean, the why is because of power and money and greed. But it is also a story of how deeply unpopular the ideas of the billionaire class are, how deeply unpopular the worldview of the billionaire class is, right? These are a small group of people, the richest people this world have ever seen, and their whole belief system and all of their wealth is built on an upward redistribution of wealth out of the pockets of working people and into their offshore bank accounts. I mean, we just saw the Republican Party, which right now should just be called the Trump Party. They have try to get Republican to tell you what is their ideology right now, right? It's certainly not small government. It has nothing to do with protecting free speech. They literally just fired Jimmy Kimmel because President Trump said so. So this is the Trump Party. And the Trump Party just passed a $1 trillion cut to healthcare, which nobody wants, right? If you ask the American people, nobody wants it. You have hundreds of hospitals that will close, hundreds of nursing homes that will close, 15 million people losing their health care, tens of thousands, 51,000 estimated by Yale Public Health, 51,000 Americans dying per year who wouldn't have otherwise died. All of this stuff is done so that trillions of dollars can be given to a tiny group of billionaires in the form of tax handouts. You can't do that if people are allowed to talk about what's actually happening. That's why despots clamp down on speech. That's why despots clamp down on what is allowed to be talked about and try to create a culture of fear, which is the primary way that they control speech. To create a culture where if you say something, you are worried you're going to lose your job. You're worried that you'll lose your freedom, right? That is how despots, that's how Stalin works. That is what we're seeing here, is America being pulled in the direction of an authoritarian government, all operating at the whim of one person, a deeply flawed person, and all for the benefit of the cronies who populate his court at Mar-a-Lago, right? That's what we're seeing. They can't let people talk out on the airwaves and ask, why are the Republicans blocking the release of the Epstein list? They can't have that discussion because they know that if you talk about it, the answer is obvious. They're protecting people who are in the Epstein files. The Epstein files show who funded this human trafficker and for what reason. And so they're blocking the release of the Epstein files. One Republican is needed to vote for the discharge petition, and the files are released. The Republicans ran on releasing the list that they said, was filled with their political opponents, and then they get power and they're like, oh yeah, never mind. We're definitely not gonna release that. And Joe Rogan, the guy who supposedly is all about freedom of speech, watch that guy interview Kash Patel about the Epstein list, where Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, just says, oh yeah, that it doesn't exist. And then Joe Rogan just is like, oh, okay. Why? This guy's supposed to care about free speech. It's because he's afraid. He's afraid of biting the hand that feeds him. He's afraid. He knows that Donald Trump and the Trump party can actually take away his livelihood. So he kneels to power, to the billionaires. And that is what we are up against. That's what we are talking about today. The stakes could not be higher. This isn't about just a late night talk show host. This is about an attack and a fundamental reordering of America to serve one man and his billionaire cronies. I'm going to take your calls all show long. I want to hear about what you think about Jimmy Kimmel, Colbert, everything that's going on. And I think we have a really great show today. We're going to have Ryan Grimm from Dropsite News on to talk about the horror in the genocide in Gaza.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And we're back. I'm still Alex Lawson in for Thom Hartmann. I am going to have to fulfill the duties of radio now and do a live read. So bear with me. This is my the part of the job that I'm least good at. The Constitution is very clear. Government must not endorse religion. Texas and Arkansas law. Okay. When do we come back to? Our going to be gracious with me. I know Tom's audience is fantastic. We are going to continue to talk and try to put into perspective why these attacks are happening and how they're all coordinated to advance the exact same goals, which is billionaire control over every aspect of our lives. What you can say, what you can see, watch, consume as media, what the poisons that are poured into our ecosystems that we then have to accept that RFK Jr. is the guy who's going to keep us healthy, when everything that they're doing is to advantage the same billionaires that are making us sick, right? How are they going to do something like lower drug prices when the billionaire pharmaceutical corporations are sitting in the court at Mar-a-Lago, kissing the ring of this wannabe dictator, Donald Trump? I think it is time that we have the honest conversation about what's going on. I know Tom is one of the few honest truth tellers out there, but what I don't want to hear anymore is imagine if a Democrat had done this, what the hypocrisy. They don't care about hypocrisy. They care about power and money. They don't care about imagine if. We are in a reality where the Trump party is doing this. They have done this. They passed a law that steals our health care to put trillions in the pockets of billionaires. They pressure corporations to toe a political line. Otherwise, they will lose their ability to operate. And you know what? The billionaire owners of those corporations are more than happy to toe that line because they're part of it, right? The good news is that the people reject all of what's going on. It's deeply unpopular. And so we're going to have this conversation. I'm going to take your calls. Please give me a call. I can't wait to talk to you about this. I'll see you on the other side of this break. Short.
Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. So what do we call the really, really mind-bogglingly rich? You know, at the founding of the Republic, they were referred to as speculators or moneyed interest or aristocrats. In the years leading up to the Civil War, we called them the cotton lords and the plantation aristocracy. In the late 19th century, they were the robber barons. In the 1930s, FDR called them the economic royalists. But since the Reagan Revolution, we've just called them billionaires. And now, you know, some of them want to call themselves tech bros. Like, that's kind of a good thing, you know, like tech is positive and bros, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg saying we need more masculine energy in American business culture. So we need a new phrase. I would like to suggest the morbidly rich. Morbidly suggests unhealthy. And the vast riches that some of these people have is unhealthy to our democracy, particularly since 5 Republicans on the Supreme Court said that morbidly rich people can buy politicians. And it's unhealthy for them, too. So morbidly rich. There's an op-ed over at HartmannReport.com all about it. Check it out.
Back. And I'm going to go straight to the phones. I think first up, I'm going to go to Mike in Madison, Wisconsin, watching Free Speech TV. Mike, what's on your mind?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, I love both their shows. I am 69, a lifetime Democrat. Trump is all about corruption. I never voted Republican my whole life and never will. The next show that will go will be The View on ABC. That'll be the next show. Then it will be Seth Meyers on NBC. Then it will be Jimmy Fallon. It's all about corruption, like you said. People need to wake up in this country. October 18th is No King's Day, Part 2.
Mike, thank you so much for your call. I couldn't agree more, and especially with your remedy. So the billionaires are assaulting us from all sides, and they're doing that because they know that the people reject everything that they stand for. And so the remedy to the assault on our free speech, on our democracy, we have military occupation of U.S. cities, right? Is for millions of people to stand together and raise our voices. And so nokings.org is the website. There's thousands of events already. And we are looking forward to millions of Americans standing together, shoulder to shoulder, and raising our voices. And the point of these mass mobilizations is it doesn't just stop, right? Like people are saying, oh, well, what about the day after? I'll tell you about the day after. The day after, everyone who didn't turn out, but maybe is wondering, where their neighbors are, where this country is, see that the vast majority of the American people stand against what Donald Trump is trying to do, what the billionaires are trying to do. And that breeds courage. Through adversity, solidarity grows, and raising our voices together is the most important thing we can do, especially right now. Now is the time when they're trying to silence us. Now is the time when they're saying, we get to decide what you say. And if we don't like what you say, you're out. Now is the time that our voices are more important to raise than ever before. So, Mike, thank you so much for your call. I'm going to go to another Mike from Minnesota, also watching on Free Speech TV. Mike, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to say that the girls at The View today were all silenced. It's sad that Rosie O'Donnell's still not on the show because they didn't say a word about Jimmy today, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. That's what they're trying to do. They are the billionaires. They know their game. They know how to silence people. It's through fear. It's through fear. That's no accident that they didn't mention Jimmy Kimmel. That is through a memo that went around, right? And that memo is probably going all over town. Now, we're going to see brave voices stand up. We already have, and we'll continue to see more. But the corporate media is never going to be on our side. We have to be honest about that. They're the same billionaire class who are at the court in Mar-a-Lago. So we need to invest in infrastructure and getting truth tellers like Thom Hartmann out even further than he already does. And also talking to our friends and neighbors directly, being the trusted sources of information, and knowing that our voices right now, it's more important than ever that we raise them together and stand against this assault on our free country, on our free speech, on our freedom itself. We're going to be right back after this break. What should... You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Show, and I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom. We're looking forward to taking your calls on the other side of this break. Give us a call. I want to hear from you. I want to hear about Jimmy Kimmel's firing. I want to talk about the Republican shutdown that's just around the corner. And I want to talk especially about how
You're
raising our
listening to
voices.
the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
I get cut off by the you're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program when I don't do my job of saying the same thing. But we.
Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and you bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you. Did you know that every weekday we send out an email before the show giving you all the topics coming up so you can be fully informed and ready to interact with our program? Or that after the show we send out Sue's Stack, a list of every topic I've discussed along with clickable hot links to every source of information I've shared with you on the air? It's all completely free and available over at thom.tv, THOM.tv. Check it out.
Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson, just getting my radio legs under me and having a great time doing it. So let's just go straight to the next call. Stefan in Ohio, listening on 9:50 a.m. Stefan, you're on the air.
Yes, Alex, thank you. I would like to mention that there's people out there in the country, everywhere, who don't know what to do in terms of mobilizing people in their towns, in their cities, in their, congressmen's meetings and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
We need some source of direction. We need somebody or some system to tell us what is happening, how to mobilize, where to go, at what time, when the meetings are happening, so that people can actually take action, because there's too many people out there who are lost in the wilderness.
Stefan, thank you so much for that, and I couldn't agree more. I always say the most important thing to do is to get organized, just to realize that you can't do everything on your own. Right now, I think a great resource is for people to go to nokings.org. There's thousands of events being planned across the country. All of those events are being organized by local organizers that people can plug into. You don't have to know everything. You can't. But all together, we can actually make amazing things happen, like having millions and millions of people raising our voices together in the streets. And, right now, there's protests happening across this country all over the place. That's what the billionaires are terrified of. That's why they're clamping down on free speech. They are not operating from a position of strength. The Texas redistricting isn't from a position of strength. It's because they know they're going to lose. So they're cheating. They're rigging the system so that they can't lose. They're firing people who would disagree with them. And the antidote to that is organized people power. And the hope that everyone should just remember is that when we stand together, we always win. And yes, we've been through adversity as a country before. Social Security was born out of the Great Depression. Social Security we didn't create that, while everything was going great. It's while we were in the depths of a Wall Street billionaire-caused global economic collapse. Because through adversity, solidarity grows. And the first step of solidarity is getting organized, standing together. So reach out to organizations, local indivisibles, my organization, Social Security Works. There are great people doing great work who can direct you on how to wield political power in our system. So nokings.org, a mass mobilization on October 18th. The antidote to autocracy is people saying no. So Stefan, thank you so much. I agree completely. I'm going to go to Adelaide Adele in Illinois, listening on WCPT. Adele, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I love you. I love your organization. I support you financially. Thank you. Thank you. Alex, where the heck is the DNC? I want fireside chats in a modern era. I need them to lead us and tell us what the heck is happening and what we do. Where are they? Can someone help answer that question?
It's a great question, but I want to tell you that there is no cavalry coming. The politicians are always lagging indicators. So I would plead with you to not wait around for the DNC or any other politician to show you the way. You show them the way. That's how it actually works. The people are the brave. The people are the ones who set the course, and the politicians follow. Now, continue demanding leadership, definitely. That is a part of what we do, but do not wait. The fight is now. The Trump administration is attacking the American people from all sides, and the antidote is definitely going to come from the American people. So we need to raise our voices. We need to demand action from elected politicians, but always remember that they follow the people. And the bravery is from the people. We show politicians how to stand up and fight back against these assaults on our freedoms. And so continue to raise your voice. Thank you for your support. And thank you for the phone call. I'm going to go to, thanks. I'm going to go to Jack in Pittsburgh. Jack, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex, and thank you for taking the call.
Thank you. What's on your mind?
Just a real tough week, I think, in America. And regarding Jimmy Kimmel, the question I have is, do you think by Monday's show, 5 days after Tyler Robinson assassinated Kirk, do you believe Jimmy Kimmel honestly thought Robinson was MAGA or a Trump supporter?
I think that Jimmy Kimmel's being fired has nothing to do with anything other than Donald Trump saying, get this guy off the air, which started long before.
That wasn't my question. Can you answer my question?
You know what? I don't think I'm going to. What I'm going to say is my answer, that is Jimmy Kimmel was thrown off the air, not for what he said about Charlie Kirk's horrible murder. Jimmy Kimmel was thrown off the air because Donald Trump has long said he wants to get rid of, and he has a list. So this isn't new. This has nothing to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk. This has everything to do with an assault on free speech. So no, I'm not going to go down a garden path with you when the facts speak for themselves. Jimmy Kimmel is allowed to have his own opinions, and he's allowed to express them. And this is not a sort of consequence of his opinions. This is a business decision by the billionaire owners who have business in front of the FCC. And Donald Trump has made it clear that you're going to do what I say, or you're not going to get your license, you're not going to get your approval for the merger. And that's what's going on. And that's a fact. So thanks for your call, Paul, in listening on WCPT. Paul, you're on the air.
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing the last caller would not be allowed to do in a free speech nation is to convict the suspect before a trial, which is exactly what he did.
Paul, I actually lost you in the middle of what you were saying. Your cell phone dropped out, but thanks for calling. If you want to try again, you can call on in back. I'm going to go to Gabe really quickly on Free Speech TV. We only got a minute here, Gabe, so let's keep it tight.
Hey, Alex, how you doing? Thanks for sitting in for Tom. Hey, I'm really afraid that we're moving towards another red scare in this country, or a red and black scare, or Antifa scare. And I think it could be a lot worse than what happened in the 50s. Because back then, I don't think there were any communists being declared as terrorists. And when you start declaring people as terrorists, that gives the government a lot of power to do really bad things, including taking people out, and which the Supreme Court has given Trump the power to do, and seen him exercise that power off the coast of Venezuela. That could happen here in this country if it really wanted to. But yeah, I'm afraid some bad things are going to happen in the future when it comes to people and who want dissent.
Gabe, thank you for your call. I think bad things are happening right now, and I agree. We need to be alarmed, and we need to be ready for this to escalate. And the president is able to declare who can speak, who cannot speak. And now, we just have to, at this moment, say no. This is a country ruled by laws, and that's the final arbiter. The president is not above the Constitution. There are no kings.
Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann, and we'll be right back. And I'm back. I think what the last caller was saying is really important. And I could hear the fear. And, it's warranted. The caller is right. The U.S. Used the military to attack non-combatants against the rules of war. We're also seeing around the world a crumbling of a world order that actually believed in rule of law. I mean, the UN has declared what Israel is doing a genocide. War crimes are being perpetrated. U.S. tax dollars are funding. And so what we know from history is that what's pointed out will always come back home as well. And so, yes, I I said earlier, when I drive around Washington, D.C., I see military troops on the streets of Washington, D.C. This is a playbook that strongmen, so-called strongmen, despots use, right? You see Viktor Orban in Hungary. We know who Donald Trump is trying to imitate. We know what these despots have done, right? So we know Viktor Orban, he arrested enemies of his political operation. He took businesses away from people who didn't toe the line. He gave them out to his cronies. He changed laws and has taken a democracy and moved it towards, a sort of Stalinistic autocracy. One person who gets to say all things, make all the decisions, business, foreign policy, domestic policy, just every aspect at the whim of one person. It is the worst political system that you could come up with, because the only people who would want that power are those who are furthest away, the least fit to hold that power, right? This is a fact and a paradox that Western civilization has been studying for thousands of years. You could read the Greek philosophers about this, and it's still true. The people who want that amount of power are the worst people to give any power to, right? Look at the absolute bumblingness of the Trump crowd. These are not people, nor is Trump, who are like, supreme operators who have this insight on things and their stuff works. No, what they do is they fail and then they paper over their failures, like tariffs, raising costs on the American people, right? Grocery prices are through the roof. They can't actually fix any of the problems because they are the problems. The billionaires are the problems. So that they don't fix it, they try to paper over it by creating an atmosphere of fear and control that allows them to use the coercive force of government against its own people. And it's actually what the American Revolution was fought over. The idea that we have an inherent...
Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us.
No live read. And we're back. This is Alex Lawson sitting in for Thom Hartmann. I'm trying to get through as many of your calls as we can. So let's go to Pasquale on Free Speech TV.
Hi, how you doing? I'm a first-time caller on Thom Hartmann. I've been watching FS TV for some time, following Amy Goodman every day. Used to listen to Richard Wolff. I'm ex-defense employee, worked for many years overseas. I was a representative. I was in a lot of negotiations regarding industrial policies with NATO countries and the new Warsaw Pact nations, that we kind of engulfed during the late 90s and, created a great deal more defense contracts for those new nations rather than just try to cement a peace with the USSR back then. In other words, I've seen a lot of things that kind of upset me being in the thick of things. But I know that we talk about on Free Speech TV, we talk about, we have to protest, we have to speak up, we have to get together and speak out. But I have to say that we discuss these problems over and over again, but we never discuss or have a show that says, what is the practical methods that we need to take now to counter what's going on in this country? Not just debating it, because, I mean, for anyone who has any sense, we know that what we're doing right now is wrong. We have 150 nations voting against us in the UN. We're doing things that are atrocious, things that we learned all our lives were wrong when we used to look at the old documentaries and the reruns of the Holocaust growing up in this country. So we know what's right and wrong. We don't need to debate it anymore. What do we do against these forces that are now using liberal doctrines and liberal laws like the Constitution to demand their freedom to carry on these policies that they're carrying on against the ecology, against the Palestinian people? Well, by the way, I'm not Palestinian. You know, I'm speaking out for people who are being killed, who are being hurt, human atrocities, human crime.
Pasquale,
And
I hear what you're saying, and I think it's really important. So I think that there is a lot of information and great organizing happening right now that you can be part of, and that is saying, here are specific things that you can do, because we do live in a democracy. These assaults on our freedoms have not changed the reality that there are going to be elections. There are elections that have recently happened. The Republicans got blown out of the water. The Democrats are overperforming massively. There still is electoral power there. So getting involved in electoral power is a part of it. And there's a lot of organizing to do just that. You know, the House Speaker Johnson knows he is likely to lose his gavel unless he cheats as hard and as fast as possible. But electoral power is not the only power. We also need people power, mass mobilization. It is the ultimate antidote to autocracy. Every single time when the dictators fall, it's because the people have stood up and said no. Every time a coup has been prevented, the people have stood up and said no. Right? Google South Korea and watch a wannabe dictator try to roll tanks through his streets to take over the country, and then watch the most normal, everyday people that you've ever imagined stand up and say no, and they stopped it. Right? So the popular movement, we need legal strategy, like the ACLU and so many lawyers who are doing great work. If you look in Brazil, they had President Bolsonaro with the aid, before that, with the aid of the U.S. intelligence agencies, couped basically Lula out of office, had him arrested. But you know what? The people didn't give up. They kept fighting because they knew that the only time you actually lose is when you give up, which is why the whole psychological operation of the authoritarians is to try to get people to give up. So we know what to do. We know these avenues that we have to work in. I would again point people to nokings.org, and that is a great resource where you can find local organizations doing organizing in all of these areas, really with specific guidance of how to raise your voice. The important thing is that when you see evil and assaults on our freedoms and our individual persons and our neighbors, that you don't shrink back. Not everybody can do everything, so do what you can. But always remember that their goal is to silence us with fear. And so finding the joy in life that will allow you to fight back with a smile on your face, that's how we beat the despots. And we will be right back at the top of the next hour with a great guest, Ryan Grimm, who's going to talk about what's happening in Gaza right now and also his perspective on the assault on the free press. I'm Alex Lawson. You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. give us a call. We want to take your calls and hear from you. Join us in the next hour. We're going to be talking about Gaza, but we'll just keep this conversation going about the assault on the American project by the billionaire class, what it is, how it works, and how we fight back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
In addition to bringing you the Thom Hartmann Program here on Free Speech TV and Video Media Online, we also have a whole set of ways you can interact with us and tools you can use to spread the word about the importance of democracy and the threats to it in our republic. First, there's your daily homework. Sue Nethercutt puts together a daily email newsletter that has a link to every story I discuss on the air, so you can find my sources and you can share them with your friends. It's free and you can sign up at thomhartmann.com. Second, I publish my daily take every day over at the hartmannreport.com website. That's also free if you want the daily 5 days a week rant in your inbox. No ads either. Third, we have the podcasts. There's the free 1-hour version of our daily show that's advertising supported. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts normally. And then there's also the podcast of the entire 3-hour show with no advertisements, and that's available by subscription over at thomhartmann.com. So check them all out at thomhartmann.com and hartmannreport.com. Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669. to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And we are back, folks. I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann. I'm the executive director of Social Security Works, the co-owner of We Act Radio, and really happy to be on air with you. And I'll be trying to get to all of your calls as we make our way through this hour and the next. This hour, we are joined by Ryan Grimm, who is just an absolutely amazing journalist doing great work at Dropsite News. And we are going to bring him on now. I don't see him on our system yet. But he'll be coming on, and I'm going to I'm going to continue to take your calls. Please give us a call, 202-808-9925. I want to hear from you. I want to talk about this. I want you to raise your voice. I want to be part of the apparatus that allows us to speak to each other, because I cannot tell you how true it is that in this moment of great fear that is swamping this country, that now is the time for our courage. Now is the time for us to raise our voices and to point out the injustices that we're seeing, and not allow the billionaires to craft a narrative that's divorced from the reality. The reality is, we're going to be talking with Ryan Grimm of Drop Site News in just a few minutes about this. The reality is that there's a genocide being perpetrated in Gaza right now, and it's with U.S. taxpayer money. The UN just released a report that identified what Israel is doing as a genocide, and it is important for us to raise our voices, stand together, and demand that the people in power work for us, the people, and not just their billionaire donors. So I'm really pleased to be joined now on the phone by Ryan Grimm, a reporter and more at Drop Site News, and a great friend of mine. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I am remembering how hard it is to do this media thing. I'll tell you that. Kudos to you.
What's got you tripped up?
Oh, it's the technicals, Ryan. You know that. It's hitting the timing marks. That's the easy part, is talking to this wonderful audience. Yeah, I'm just joking around. Let's dive into it before.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Before
harder than it looks.
Don't hit another mark. So you're reporting. I mean, I don't know where to start. So maybe you could sort of proffer where you think we are in the story right now. I mean, the Israeli assault in Gaza has kicked off at a rate that I think we haven't even. It seems like the end game. Is that sort of what your reporting shows?
Well, it has seemed like that for many, many months. So, and yet the Israeli military continues to find, greater depths. So I've given up wondering if we're approaching the end game. President Trump is in the UK now, and he was actually just pressed about, why he is not reining in his proxies in Gaza, and he went back and cited October 7th and produced a litany of atrocity propaganda, none of which was accurate. There are a lot of atrocities carried out on October 7th, but for whatever reason, Trump and all of his allies don't reference the ones that were actually carried out. They fabricate additional ones and highlight those. It's such a bizarre element of this entire thing. But so he just greenlit Tony Blair to move forward with this, post-war UN-linked kind of occupation of Gaza, but it ignores the reality that the war isn't over. Like, there are still, according to Tony Blinken, tens of thousands of resistance fighters, still active in Gaza. So there's this kind of divorce from reality that, okay, like they can bomb everybody there, they can cut off food, they can starve people, but the second that they send ground troops in, they start getting ambushed again. I think 4 IDF soldiers died recently in Rafah, and actually 2 were killed at the Jordanian border today, which is terrible for humanitarian aid because, according to the Israeli reports, at least, the guy was posing as an aid truck driver. So that now they've shut that crossing down, and their calls to complete completely cut off all humanitarian aid again. But then that goes to the question, well, okay, what's Tony Blair? Tony Blair and what army? Like, the IDF is already waging war there and not, quote unquote, winning, in the sense that they're not able to, hold major population centers because they get pushed back against. So how are you going to send in reconstruction crews and go on about this massive population transfer? It's just not thought out. So it's just day after day of carnage.
So I think that it also, though, fits in with what we were talking about in the first hour. And I know, it's why you started Drop Site News is, and it might even answer why they lie, right? Why don't they tell the truth? There were atrocities committed on October 7th. So why do they choose the false ones? And the point is that they are crafting a narrative, right? They're just, it's important for them. It's more important for them to not let the truth get out than anything else. Because when the truth gets out, it's what you just said. There is no plan, right? But they create a reality for people to believe that's very divorced from what's actually happening. So I know Drop Site News just raised money to try to protect journalists who had to move south in Gaza. Can you just speak to what drove you to do that and the importance of truth-telling journalism in basically thwarting the effort to create this narrative?
Yeah, I think the fundraiser is now over $200,000, and it was just launched last week. I think well over 1,000 readers and viewers have donated to this fund, which began to support 29 journalists that we and an organization that works in Gaza, Unmute Humanity, had vetted as these are real journalists doing real work for years on the ground in Gaza. That list has, I think, since expanded to 50, maybe 51 reporters, because we raised more money than we thought we were going to be able to, because I think the hunger to do something is so great out there. And one of the core ideas behind Drop Site.
We've only got 10 seconds here on the radio, but can you stick with me through the break?
Yeah, sure.
So
and I'll tell you the core idea.
Yeah, we're gonna come right back, and I'm gonna take calls after Ryan. I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann, and we'll be right back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Give us a call, 202-808-9925. We want to hear from you. Back to our Free Speech TV listeners. Still with us on the line is Ryan Grimm. Get to the thesis. That's right, where you were just getting to the good part, Ryan, when we had to take the break.
The little cliffhanger. The point of the driving goal of Drop Site was to work directly with reporters on the ground in places in the world where that are on the wrong side of the U.S. barrel of the gun. Right now, that is Gaza and the West Bank primarily. The idea was to kind of use the credibility that Jeremy and I and the other journalists at Drop Site have built up over our careers to force the kind of journalistic establishment to pay attention to reporters in Gaza. Because there's a lot of complaining, or justified complaining. We've done some of that complaining by Western journalists that Western journalists are not allowed into Gaza. That's a legitimate and justified complaint, and Western reporters should be allowed into Gaza. But there are hundreds and hundreds of talented journalists in Gaza already, and Western media organizations are completely able to work with them. Some do.
So let me just
enough.
say one thing that I know our listeners here know, but I just want to put a really fine point on it. Journalists that Israel has been actively targeting, right? I mean, like it is a military
more than 200. Yes.
A military objective of Israel has been to silence journalists with guns and bombs. And that's should speak to the importance of journalists operating on the ground.
Yeah. Yes. More than 200 have been killed. One of our correspondents, Hossam Shabbat, they said out loud that they were going to kill him. They then killed him. They then said publicly that they killed him. It's just an absolutely extraordinary and brazen expression of their sense of impunity that in the last couple of years you wouldn't have seen. When the IDF killed Shireen Abu Akleh, that was back in 2021. They initially denied having done so and said it was crossfire from some militants, and it turned out there were no militants anywhere nearby. And then eventually they acknowledged that it was an Israeli soldier a sniper, who killed her. But they pinned it on somebody who actually, had died, fairly recently. I'm suspicious at how neat they wrapped that up. But the point is, they at least denied it. We were in the stage of denying these atrocities. Now they just announced publicly that they have executed a particular journalist, and have done it over and over again with Anas al-Sharif recently, who was perhaps the most well-known journalist in all of Gaza. They just announced they killed him on purpose.
And Ryan, we're gonna come back from Free Speech TV and join our radio audience again. I want to give you a few minutes on that side of the break, and then I'm gonna take some callers who I know they're lighting up the phone lines. They know Drop Site News and they read it because they understand the value of truth.
Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. Donald Trump lost, voter suppression won in 2024. That's the headline over at HartmannReport.com, and just a brilliant article written by Greg Palast exclusively for the Hartmann Report. He writes, Trump lost. That is, if all legal voters were allowed to vote, if all legal ballots were counted, Trump would have lost the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Vice President Kamala Harris would have won the presidency with 286 electoral votes. And if not for the mass purge of voters of color, if not for the mass disqualification of provisional and mail-in ballots, if not for the new mass vigilante challenges in swing states, Harris would have gained at least another 3.5 million votes, topping Trump's popular vote tally by 1.2 million. Greg brings us the numbers. He lays it out. You can read it over at HartmannReport.com, absolutely free. It's titled Trump Lost, Vote Suppression Won at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann. I've got on the phone Ryan Grimm, amazing journalist from Drop Site News. Ryan, we're talking about what I don't want to be too highfalutin about it, but at the end of the day, it is an assault on truth. It is an assault on truth tellers, and it is in service of a small group of billionaires and those who work for them who aren't interested in facts. They're interested in their story because they're doing deeply unpopular things. And so if the people know that they're doing these deeply unpopular things, then the people stand up and say no. And that's why I believe there's such a coordinated assault from murdering of journalists to shutting down TV shows that President Trump disagrees with. They're obviously worlds apart in many ways, but in other ways, it's one assault, an assault on truth. And so tell me how people can get involved with DropSite and basically with supporting the forces of truth-telling, like you did with the Journalist Fund that you raised over $200,000 for.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing people do is just sign up to get our emails over at dropsitenews.com. And then, we occasionally will, let people know about other things that we're doing. We'll also send out our DropSite Daily, which is a new morning newsletter that we've been doing, as well as the investigations get sent out as well. So go over there and do that. But I think it's extra important at this moment that people make direct connections with media that they want to read, because there is so much of an effort by the Trump administration to sever those connections, to destroy those media institutions. We're witnessing a mass consolidation of power at of the media by the Trump administration as we speak. You just saw ABC capitulate. You've seen CBS, get taken over by Larry Ellison's kid. You've got Larry Ellison taking over TikTok. If you think about the platforms that are left, there's basically radio, YouTube to some degree, but otherwise, every major media or social media is now, owned by, or controlled by somebody close to Trump, whether it's, TikTok, Facebook, WhatsApp,
Twitter,
ABC, Twitter, owned by Elon Musk. So it's pretty bad when YouTube is like the last bastion, before you get to Rumble, which doesn't really have, there's not really many people on there, but I mean, maybe eventually people will start gravitating towards there. But it's currently pretty right-wing coded.
This isn't new either, right? I mean, like billionaires consolidating the control of information. Like this is textbook. This is textbook stuff. And the
this is a different level. What we're used to is billionaire control of the media, and broadly kind of setting direction, toward the interests of billionaires, but underneath that, allowing the media to operate, within confines that the billionaires set. Well, the level that we're entering now is direct intervention by the Trump administration, specifically telling news organizations what to do, who to fire, who to hire, what they can report, what they can't report. Like that's a different level of control of the media.
I think it is when you are talking about, recent history in this country. But I mean, if you broaden out, this is like rule number one of authoritarians, right? So it's not new.
Yeah. No, it's not new. It's not new in the world. Like this is the Hungary approach. This is Viktor Orban. Viktor Orban in particular is very much admired by the contemporary American right.
Right.
And he, completely, it's not unique to him, but he did it, I think more impressively.
Ryan, we talked about that earlier in the show too. Ryan Grimm, DropSite News, dropsitenews.com right now in this unprecedented assault in America on the truth. It's more important than ever to support truth tellers like Ryan, like Jeremy, like the reporters on the ground that Dropsite News supports. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us on the Thom Hartmann Program.
Yeah, you got it.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
We want to hear from you. Give us a call, 202-808-9925. I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin, while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you. You know, corporate raiders, when they acquire a company, basically strip it down. They take everything of value out of it, put it in their own pockets, leave just a husk of a company. I watched, Bain Capital do this with Clear Channel. In fact, they just ran it into bankruptcy, and they run off with all the cash. Well, that's what Donald Trump is doing to America right now. He's basically behaving like a corporate raider, taking all the assets of this company and handing as many of them as possible off to billionaires and shutting down programs that benefit average working class people. This is, an all billionaire cabinet, or largely billionaire cabinet, with a billionaire president, and they're dancing to the tune of the billionaires. It shouldn't surprise us, I suppose, but there's a whole article about it over at my Daily Take entitled "Trump's Hostile Takeover of America: The Corporate Raiders' Final Heist," over at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
I'm Alex Lawson, sitting in for Thom Hartmann. Just had a wonderful conversation with Ryan Grimm about, just the horrible, horrible genocide that is being perpetrated in Gaza right now. And along with that, the necessary assault on truth and truth tellers when such a deeply unpopular thing is being perpetrated. The first casualty will be the truth, because the perpetrators know that if people truly understand what's going on, then the people will stand up and say no. And we're seeing that this playbook is well known and being followed in its own way here in America as well, with Donald Trump literally deciding the career fate, who gets to be on the air, who doesn't get to be on the air, He has written down his list and he's sticking to it, looking for any ability to make that happen. And he's using the organs of state, the FCC, in this case, with a full MAGA Trump partisan at its head, to force the billionaire-owned corporate media to toe the line. Truth is, though, they're fine to toe the line because they're just consolidating as fast as possible. And the only antidote to this is you. It's your voice. It's you finding truth tellers like Thom Hartmann and the Thom Hartmann Program, Ryan Grimm, Drop Site News, supporting and pushing out and expanding the reach of truth tellers. That is how we will win. And remember, they have money, but we've got people. We've got people. So that's what we have to lean into, our strength. So I'm going to go to as many calls as I can. Maverick in Washington on KBCS. Maverick, welcome to the Thom Hartmann Program.
Hey, welcome to you, Alex. Retired radio guy here and longtime political wonk. I just want to let you know that you're filling some big shoes. You're doing a fine job. I mean, I'm serious about that. You're doing a great job. And I got to back into a job site, so I'm going to just leave you with this real quick. The old world is dying while the new world struggles to be born. Meanwhile, we have monsters.
Now is the time of monsters. Thank you, Maverick. Thank you for that. And, you know, I recently heard Maurice Mitchell from the Working Families Party give a speech on that exact topic, using that quote, which I do think also shows that, you know, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it does rhyme, to quote another well-known one. I think it's important for people to understand what that means. And it is when one age passes to another, when one order crumbles and a new order is being built right now. I think one of the stories that is really under the radar showing that is Saudi Arabia just inked a military alliance with Pakistan, meaning that Saudi Arabia, mutual defense and military, right? This is a full reordering. Now you have Saudi Arabia, a country in the Middle East that is in a military alliance with nuclear power, nuclear armed Pakistan, who do not have a proscription against proactive use of nuclear weapons. So, you know, the move of Saudi Arabia, which would be one of the most classic client states of the U.S., you know, this is one of the strongest, sort of crumbling and weakening, and you're seeing Saudi Arabia go its own way. That is a whole shift in the world. When you saw Russia and China and India get together. So there is a massive change that we are in the middle of. And in times of great change, there's great turmoil. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Now, the assault on truth and truth tellers is part of that, right? If they want to pretend like everything's going great, they want to pretend like prices aren't skyrocketing, like the dollar, the value of the dollar is not crashing, like they haven't stolen healthcare from 15 million people, like hundreds of hospitals won't close. But all of that is true. They can't get away from the truth. The truth is real. There is reality. And no matter how hard they try, they will consistently get hit in the face with the fact that they can't get away from that. Now, they're going to try their hardest. They're going to, with their money, they're going to try to limit our ability to say what we want, to find real truth tellers. And so now is the time of monsters, but also, so importantly, the time of truth tellers. This is when people will find that their voice is more powerful and meaningful now than at any other time. So Maverick, thanks for your call. I'm gonna go to Rob on Free Speech TV in Mesa, Arizona. Rob, you're on the air.
Hey, hi, Alex. Hey, I just wanted to say that, like, since our voices don't seem to get anywhere, we need to start speaking with our wallets. We need to, like NBC and CBS or whoever is going through and just basically banning people we don't think should be banned. We should call the advertisers on those shows up and say, hey, I'm not buying your product as long as you're on that show or on that network. We need to have the influencers start kind of spreading the word, because our wallets will speak louder. Because everything you see going on right now with the banning of comedians and all that is all dividend driven. This is, dividends have no conscience. And so these companies are just saying, hey, what's in our bottom line? Sure, we'll do that. So they, it's just money. So let's speak their language, vote, speak out with your wallet and tell people who advertise, we're not going to buy your product or service, and especially the local vendors.
Rob, thank you so much for that. I think that's really an important point. And I would say get organized on that. Look for people who are organizing campaigns in that direction. But also, it's super important to use the power of our wallets, which is tremendous, not just in the direction of boycotting companies, which is a great tactic if organized, but really in supporting truth tellers as well, right? So supporting the Thom Hartmann Program, supporting Drop Site News, finding the truth tellers and outlets that are doing the important journalism and telling the actual story of what's going on, and supporting them, because they're up against billionaires who are owning and buying up and controlling as much of the platforms and ability for people to get the word out. But we do have this tremendous strength, this networked power of millions of people who they don't want the state-sponsored, supposed truth. Americans are allergic to that entire concept that one man is going to tell us how to live our lives, how we should think and feel about what's happening, that one man is going to actually be able to do what's necessary in this country for millions of people to live fruitful, fun, productive lives. We know it's not true. We know that for all the imperfections of our democracy, it is still the truth that problems with democracy are solved with more democracy. You don't solve the problems of a democratic system that is too influenced by billionaires by putting in power a billionaire.
Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Give us a call. I'm going to try to get through all of the calls. 202-808-9925. We're back with our Free Speech TV listeners and viewers. It is truly a dangerous moment. We're seeing how many more unprecedented things can we see? I think that's a question that many people are asking, or they're just saying, I'm over it. Give me ordinary times. But we don't get to choose. We don't get to choose. This is the reality. And so I said it earlier in the show, and I want to say it again. Something that I think that, listeners of the Thom Hartmann Program, people who are interested in the truth in general, need to move away from is this concept of when the Trump party does horrible, despicable, anti-American things, being like, imagine if the Democrats did this, the hypocrisy. They don't care, folks. They do not care about hypocrisy. People have to understand that. The Republicans, the Trump party, they care about power. Power is the only thing that matters. The billionaires, the billionaire class, they don't have even the ability to feel shame. So they care about power, their bottom lines. And we have power. All power actually comes from the people. So we just have to change the calculus. Right now, you have the Trump party being the Trump party because they're more scared of Trump and the billionaires than they are of their constituents, their bosses. But you know what reminds them more quickly than anything is when they lose their jobs. They get the message right away. And so do all the others. And so that electoral power, we still have it. We have to use it. We have to be organized. But also people power. We have to show people, we have to show the billionaires and the politicians that even under the assaults on our freedom of speech, on the truth itself, we're not backing down. We're going to keep fighting to build a country and a society that works for the people, not just the billionaires, because we know it's obvious that we can. The richest country in the history of the world, we can have health care for everyone in this country. If you get sick, you get the health care that you need. We can have a secure, dignified retirement for every person in this country. Of course we can. All we need to do is eject the billionaires from their perch where they're driving this country. And we've done it before. Remember, I'm the executive director of Social Security Work, so I oftentimes go back to this. Social Security was born out of the Great Depression. That was a time when the billionaires caused a global economic collapse, the magnitude of which we'd never seen before. And all of it was the same thing that's happening today. It didn't come out of nowhere. You can read contemporaneous accounts. People were warning, if we allow the billionaires and Wall Street to have everything, then this system is going to fail. And so we did many things, Social Security, unemployment insurance, the minimum wage, but all of them were united with one goal, increasing the power of the people, the many, against the money power of the few. So.
Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. It's the great revenge. Trump's Orwellian America is taking shape. The key to it was this insane executive order titled Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government. And basically what it does is it sets up the weaponization of the federal government. It proclaims that the Biden administration was, using the Justice Department to go after Trump people and Republicans, and it does it in a way that basically rationalizes they're doing the same thing. This is a absolute danger to our republic. This executive order and Trump's assertions around it, and you can read all about it. There's a whole op-ed about it, titled The Great Revenge, Trump's Orwellian America Takes Shape, over at HartmannReport.com. Get ready for the investigations, the arrests, and the show trials. HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
Back. I'm going to go right to the phone lines here. I'm Alex Lawson, filling in for Thom Hartmann on the Thom Hartmann program. I'm going to go to Bill in Indiana.
The class.
And Bill,
Excuse
you're
me?
on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to get my cat off my lap. No, I tell you what I called about, and it's kind of interesting because I moved to Indiana about 4 months ago from Virginia, from Richmond. And I was listening to a fellow who called in this morning. And I remember kind of the gist of it. He's 69 years old, has been a lifelong Democrat, lifelong Illinoisan, and talking about corruption on the current administration. I'm not denying that may not be true, but I went to ChatGPT to put in corruption in Illinois. Illinois was corrupt before it became a state, and it's been equal opportunities. 4 of the last 11 governors served jail time.
Absolutely, Bill. I'm gonna take your point. As originally from Illinois, I can make the joke that's true. Illinois, where our governors make your license plates. But what I think you're engaging in, and I think probably in good faith, you might not know, it's a logical fallacy. To quoque, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the fact that other corruption exists has no bearing at all on the fact that the Trump administration is corrupt. And so it's a logical fallacy to sort of say, oh, well, you say the Trump administration's correct, but you know who was also correct? The Ryan administration when he was governor of Illinois. Yep, and they're unrelated. So the tendency to do that, I actually think there's this deep tendency to do that in politics. One side is like the hypocrisy, and the other side is like they do it too. And I'm sitting here being like, I don't care. I just want to have a government that works for the people, and not the billionaires. And you know what? Politicians of any label could create that reality, and politicians of any label could fight against that reality. The important thing to me is that the people understand what the goal is, and it's not partisanship. Who cares? Who cares about the labels? The goal is to build a country, a world, a philosophy, and an understanding that when we work together, we can build a economy, a health infrastructure, education system. We can move away from this culture of violence, of all of the ills that we see. We can actually solve. This is the richest country in the history of the world. But we need to identify the problem. And the problem isn't, oh, they did the problem is billionaires. The problem is billionaires make money off of our discord. They make money off of chaos. They hate things that work. Social Security works, so they want to destroy it. They make no money off of Social Security, so they hate it. Public education works, so they want to destroy it. That's what I care about. I care about people understanding what the goal of government is, and it is to create a society that works for all of us. I've only got 1 minute here, so I'm going to go really quickly to Gar and watching on the Thom Hartmann app. Gar in Atlanta, really quickly.
How you doing, Alex?
Thank you.
Let me say this quickly. I appreciate you because you're making good sense. But my thing is, we are the United States of America. And until we understand what that word united is, I mean, we can always run into these difficult situations. The word united is not calculus. It's not trigonometry. It's not a science, rocket science. It's a simple word, united, United States of America. No one's talking about that. Nobody's bringing that up, United States of America. And the name is good as gold. Name is good as gold. And
Thank you for that. That is a really great point. United, and that's what I am also trying to say. United, together, the people. That's what we need to be. And if we raise our voices together, we can make that a reality. Thank you so much for your call, Gar. You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson. We will be back after this.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
In addition to bringing you the Thom Hartmann Program here on Free Speech TV and Video Media Online, we also have a whole set of ways you can interact with us and tools you can use to spread the word about the importance of democracy and the threats to it in our republic. First, there's your daily homework. Sue Nethercutt puts together a daily email newsletter that has a link to every story I discuss on the air, so you can find my sources and you can share them with your friends. It's free and you can sign up at thomhartmann.com. Second, I publish my daily take every day over at the hartmannreport.com website. That's also free if you want the daily 5 days a week rant in your inbox. No ads either. Third, we have the podcasts. There's the free 1-hour version of our daily show that's advertising supported. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts normally. And then there's also the podcast of the entire 3-hour show with no advertisements, and that's available by subscription over at thomhartmann.com. So check them all out at thomhartmann.com and hartmannreport.com. Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book, the subtitle Broken Man, a Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra-powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you.
Feel free to jump in after the announcer.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the final hour of the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm really excited to have on the line my friend, the amazing songwriter, singer-songwriter, and just all-around artiste, Brock Butler. Brock, how you doing?
I'm great, Alex. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Forgot how hard 3 hours of live radio is, but you get back into it. We've had we've had a great discussion so far with our callers, with Ryan Grimm from Drop Site News. There's a lot of bad news, Brock. A lot of people are afraid, and I try to bring a message of I understand that, and the solution is solidarity. And you and I go way back with that shared understanding. But something I also wanted to talk to you about is the importance of joy in the fight against autocracy and the billionaires controlling every aspect of our lives. Something that I believe strongly in is that the most powerful form of anti-fascism that one can take is authentic joy. And so I want to talk to you about a lot of things, but just as a singer-songwriter, how do you see yourself in these times, these tumultuous times?
Well, I think when it comes to my personal songwriting, it's never really had overt political messages in the lyrics. And it's always been my hope that art, music, or things like this that can be a neutral ground which might help. You know, it happens often enough where I share my opinions on my socials, and if somebody's responding, if the topic is, let's say, censorship from Bondi, for example, they usually lead with, like, hey, man, I want to tell you I love your music, or something I've done has mattered to them along the way. And I feel like that's a helpful bridge to engage in a conversation, because it kind of sets the tone of neutral ground to have the difficult political chats with people. And by writing about broader themes like joy and even the actual music itself, I always hope that it has a meditative kind of comforting or relaxing quality to it.
And a bringing together, right? I mean, that's what I think
absolutely.
is so magical about art and music, is its ability to bring people together. And in a time where I think a handful of people are spending enormous amounts of money ripping us apart, and the power and importance of music and art, that, again, it doesn't, I understand it. Maybe there's protest art and protest music, but
sure,
music that is joyful actually serves an almost deeper, more profound, or works on a more profound level of bringing people together. And I want you to speak to that.
Well, I think when you make it broadly speaking, so if it's not protest music or protest art, that has a very specific context where, by design, it's going to be to the dismay of some folks. That if you don't have anything like that in mind with your music, and just broadly that you want it to bring joy, you want it to make people happy, to make them dance, any of the positives that I get from, listening to all the music I love, it transcends kind of being boxed in by external cultural issues or political issues. And that's something I've always loved about it, that it's really for anybody, for everybody, and to try not to, turn people off just by the premise of it. And that, of course, takes finesse to put that into the music itself. And then, of course, in the age of being a content creator as much as a musician, because if you want to
have yourself out there and keep up, it's pretty necessary. And then you have to make the choices of, do you want to discuss politics or anything like that, or just keep it to just the music? And for the most part, I've tried to do that in how I engage with people on social media as well. I try to think of, what am I in a position to provide that only I can do, and that everybody would presumably get a smile from it or enjoy it. And that ends up being, discussing. I love talking about movies, books that I'm reading, photos of Kingsley, my Chorky, who's adorable, and I have yet to come across anybody that didn't brighten their day. And pretty much try to predominantly make it about joyful things. Now, every now and again, I will have to, or I'll feel compelled to discuss certain political matters.
So I want to answer a question that maybe some of the listeners of why I wanted to have you on, Brock. And I think a lot of people talk to me because it's difficult right now. So they want, I want you to say everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, I'm not going to, because things are really bad. There's an enormous amount of horrible going on. And very specifically, your music helps me find my joy, keep my joy. Perpetual Groove, the Brock Butler Band, your solo projects, following along your adventures with Kingsley. These are ways that I find joy that really help me when I am facing what I think is some really difficult things, like fighting against, people losing healthcare. I know that means that people are going to die. We all face difficulty in our lives. And one of the ways that I believe the billionaire class gets people to withdraw so that they can increase their power is by stealing our joy. And so I wanted to bring you on, and we're going to go to a break. I'm hoping that you can stick with me through the break. I wanted to bring you on to talk about that, but also I wanted to talk about the difficulties of being an artist in these times. Like, the corporate consolidation of the billionaire class is also aimed at eliminating the ability of independent artists, or making it incredibly difficult for artists to make a living creating art and bringing joy to people.
Well, I'm here, brother, and would love to talk about all these things. Let's do it.
We're going to take more of your calls at 202-808-9925. You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Give us a call, 202-808-9925. Our Free Speech TV audience, still on the line with us, my good friend, Brock Butler. His band is Perpetual Groove, the Brock Butler Band. You can find him on YouTube, on all of the socials. So, Brock, I wanted the opening to be sort of about that joy, because I think people need to take care of themselves right now and find that joy. Don't forget what we're fighting for, which is a joy-filled world. Life is hard enough without the billionaire class. I think, it's been attributed to many people, Nietzsche, but I fully believe it. Without music, life would be unfair. Without art, life would be unfair. That's just a truth. But talk about the realities of, what we just saw the president of the United States cancel a entertainer's career because he didn't like what he was saying. And the way he did that was through a media infrastructure that is controlled by billionaires, corporations. And in the music world, I think we have really well-known villains that do the same thing. So what is it like to actually make a living as an artist, as doing what you do in against the Live Nations, Ticketmasters, etc.?
Well, it's incredibly difficult, and I would even say at this point, having been a professional musician for 25 years and change, that I'm still always having to hustle and try to to keep my head above water. And the obvious things, of course, is the business model. And so whenever you see gas prices, or if someone claims that they're going down, I happen to travel so much that I'm at many different gas pumps across many different states. And so it's demonstrably evident to me where I can see, the prices are not going down. So just the costs of operating a business, of being a traveling musician, it's always taken some extra hustle and finesse, but it seems just to be getting more and more difficult. And the same can be applied to the different Live Nation, Ticketmaster stuff. The people up top. I don't know if I was starting college today instead of September of '97. I don't know if I would consider trying to start a career as a musician, for all these different reasons of trying to get your name out there at all. Everything is behind paywalls, and trying to promote anything you have. But even though you have however many followers and friends and stuff, they have all of these obstacles for you getting your name out there. In '97, it was beautiful, like all very tangible. You had a physical mailing list for snail mail, people write their email, and it was just more organic. And I think that we got very lucky sneaking in that window of time.
Brock, we're going to be right back with our radio audience, so stick with me.
Okay.
Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com.
Welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson. Still with us on the line is my good friend Brock Butler, singer-songwriter. His band's Perpetual Groove, the Brock Butler Band. And Brock, I wanted to move sort of in this direction of, just giving people the antidote to fascism as joy and solidarity through the difficulties of being a working musician. And I want to sort of bring it home right now in that I've never gone to a theater and then watched the CEO of Ticketmaster on stage being rich, being like, yeah, right? It's your labor, it's your art and people are profiting off of it massively. And so the consolidation in the entertainment world, it's the same villain that we see across everything. Workers, labor create the value, and the billionaires steal that value. And the way that we fight against that is finding people, artists, truth tellers, and supporting them directly, like the Thom Hartmann Program, Drop Site News, your band, whatever people find that they can support, and that we need to create new systems as the billionaires are consolidating and trying to control everything that we consume. So I want to sort of leave the last thought to you. It is, if you had chosen not to be an artist, musician, the world would be a less joyful place. And it hurts that people would be making that decision right now, but it makes sense. It's very difficult.
Oh, sure. You even see it. There's a number of legacy bands that I would make the case were very successful, and even to look at the optics of it, like being in a different band and looking like, oh man, they've got a great business model. They're playing bigger and bigger rooms and lights and all this. And some of them are even calling it a day. It's just so difficult to be in a business where you're traveling and there's so many costs that are constantly fluctuating. And as far as the joy of why I do it, when I reached out to you a little ways back and asked you how I could contribute, that I feel like you're out there on the front lines and working so hard, and that I'm, as I sit on my recliner with Kingsley in my lap, I wonder if I'm not meeting the moment. And then when you elaborated on that the music itself was a way that you liked to unwind at the end of the day, that it was medicinal in that way, that made me feel a lot better about, if I'm not making protest art and I'm not putting my boots on the ground, what are my options to try to be a positive influence and maybe provoke change to better things. And it's really overwhelming. Like when you compare broadly speaking, the billionaire class, it's kind of the same energy where you see that they're going to cut something, funding for this or funding for that, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, and then in the same breath talk about some gaudy, unnecessary ballroom and the price tag that comes with it. So not only are they saying they can't afford to do this or that, but we can afford to do this. It's a similar energy to when you look at the analytics of your music on Spotify or a streamer like that, and you know what that guy is worth, billions and billions, and then you see the revenue, such as it is on the amount of streams. It's very, very pronounced, the disparity, and that he could still be a billionaire and a whole ton of musicians' quality of life could improve drastically, and he would never miss the money to make significant improvements in probably hundreds of thousands of artists' lives if you wanted to. And
That's exactly right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to work around that. The level of success I have as an artist, as far as like my platform, isn't really significant in size or reach, but I don't really think that should even be taken into account if you're considering what you want to stand for and causes that you want to support. So while I don't know if I could make any difference really, but I still think that's every reason to continue to try.
That's exactly, Brock, what I wanted to talk about. It's the same battle. It's the same fight. The billionaires are doing the same thing, exploiting the workers. And in the cultural class, it's the same exact thing. Paying the musicians who produce the music and art pennies so that they can make billions. And what we need to do is understand that we allow that system to exist. And we all can do our part, not all the same. That's the part I wanted to really focus in on. All of us can do our part. Not everyone can do everything. No one can do everything. But as long as we share the vision of the society we want to create, more joy, more artists, more music, that is the choice that we can make. Brock Butler, thank you so much for joining us on the Thom Hartmann Program. Everybody should
Alex,
go.
I love you, buddy, and deal me in on all of that stuff. Thank you so much for having me, and it's always great to talk to you, my friend.
Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Give us a call. We're going to close out the show taking your calls. 202-808-9925. I'm Alex Lawson. You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and, get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you. Help support progressive radio. If you're listening to us on a commercial station, call their advertisers and let them know you're listening. If you're listening to us on Pacifica, or one of our many nonprofit stations, please support them when they do their fundraising drives. Thanks for supporting Progressive Talk Radio, and tag you're it. It's no coincidence that the time in Europe when the church ran the continent, from around the 5th century to around the 15th or 16th century, that 1,000-year period is referred to as the Dark Ages. This is what happens when religion controls politics, when religion controls the state, the nation. And every nation of Europe was controlled essentially by the Catholic Church during that period of time. It got busted up with the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. This was what the founders of this country very much knew about. George Washington refused to declare himself a Christian. Thomas Paine wrote an entire book embracing atheism. Ben Franklin fled Massachusetts as a teenager to escape the religious threats. And Thomas Jefferson went off on it regularly. There's a whole piece about how the Republicans are trying to impose a new dark age on America. It's all laid out, all the quotes and all the links over at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
Back, folks, just getting the hang of this, and now it's almost time to go, so I'm going to take as many calls as I can, starting with my good friends in Montana, Andrea and Tiana, calling in from Montana, watching on Free Speech TV. Andrea and Tiana, you're on the line.
Hi, Alex. It's good to see you.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Brock. I just wanted to raise awareness about what happened at Whitefish Border Patrol in Whitefish, Montana a few days ago. 2 people, Louisa and Fergie, were taken into ICE's custody. They are now in an ICE detention facility in Texas, and 3 peaceful protesters were arrested, and since then, 2 of them have been bailed out. And that's what I intended to raise awareness about today specifically.
Thank you so much for calling in and letting us know. And I think it's important for people to understand. That's why it's so important for people to be organized. When people stand up against state violence, which, let's be clear, that's what the ICE terror is. It's state violence directed at people. In Washington, D.C., where I am, you have military on the street. You have ICE and other federal officers basically arresting DoorDash drivers and laborers at Home Depot. This is not going after criminals. This is going after people who are just trying to do a job that our purposely broken immigration system incentivizes people to come to this country. And what we need to do is fix the entire system, not a reign of terror on peaceful working people. But when people stand up against state violence, there are repercussions. And it's why it's important that people are organized. They're plugged into groups, legal aid, legal help, and understand the implications of what standing against state violence means. It's why everybody can't do everything, but my hats are always off to those who are willing to put their bodies on the line to stand against state violence being perpetrated on our neighbors. So thank you for letting us know about what ICE is doing across this country, and not just in Washington, D.C., but in every nook and cranny of this country out into Montana and beyond. I'm going to go to Michael, listening on XM in New York. Michael, you are on the line.
Hey, Alex, greetings. I'm going to try to be as calm as I can, especially since I am at work, but I don't face any problems whatsoever. And the thing is that how dare this administration, I can't even call it an administration, it's a corrupt, organized criminal organization, right? They're using Charlie Kirk's death and murder. I mean, we have said it is an injustice and a crime of what happened to the guy, no matter how despicable one might find him, okay, due to his rhetoric. But the ultimate cause of his death and the one ultimately responsible is Donald Trump for creating and pushing this culture of hate and violence. And always with the guns, the guy is on record, the guy meaning Trump, on record saying, I'm not doing anything about gun control, gun safety reform. I'm a big fan and advocate of the Second Amendment. And make him eat the words which could have led this killer to commit the crime when Trump said to his followers, if there's something you don't like, you have your Second Amendment remedies. A former President Joe Biden hit the nail on the head when he said words matter. So now you got people that are speaking the truth and exposing the hypocrisy, and that's all Jimmy Kimmel did, was expose the fraud of Donald Trump when he was asked how is he dealing with Kirk's death, and then he wants to go into decorative stuff and all that. So the thing is, I would suggest Mr. Kimmel and perhaps Mr. Colbert and anyone else initiate a class action lawsuit, not just against the government, not just the entire GOP party, but name the individuals that created this. Trump, J.D. Vance, Nancy Mace, and any other stinking Republican that has called for people to be fired that speak out and speaking out on the truth. There is nobody, no Democrat that is vouching for or celebrating Kirk's death. We've been consistent, so stop it already.
Thank you, Michael, for that. I think that the person who's responsible for the heinous murder of Charlie Cook is the gunman. But I also do believe that we have a culture of violence, and we have the ease of getting guns in this country is unique. And guns are definitely part of the problem. We need to have policies that address that. And also, to your point on extreme rhetoric, I really urge that people listen to the statements right after the despicable murder of Charlie Kirk. You had elected Democrats who were vociferously decrying the violence and asking for people to turn down the temperature. And before any facts were known, you had the most powerful person on the planet out there ascribing a motive to this individual and then using that to push forward an agenda that he had long laid out, which was the silencing of his potential critics and people he just doesn't like. So I think, again, what we are looking at is a system where billionaires, on top of the gun manufacturers, profit greatly off of chaos and carnage and use that money to ensure that we don't look to other countries and be like, hey, why doesn't this similarly, a peer country with similar demographics, why don't they have the extreme levels of violence and school shootings and these uniquely American issues? And the answer is because they don't have our uniquely American problem of ease of access to guns. And so we're talking about common sense regulations that are blocked time and time again by Republicans doing the bidding of gun manufacturers, washed through the NRA. And I think that it is important that people understand that. So thank you, Michael, for your call. I'm going to go to Phil, listening on KPFK in California. Phil, you're on the line. And we only got a couple minutes.
Okay, real quick. As a former architect, here's the big problem. And I'm reaching out to your listeners. You've lost your mom and pop mentality in your community. Mom and pop retail, mom and pop stores, little cafes. Now it's all corporate. And right now on the street with the e-bikes, that's the solution. We need to be riding our bikes. You have to open up more cafes, and I can help. I have a food company called the Power Pancake. It's $10,000. You can set up a little mom and pop store. Then you have the community working there and talking to each other, and you're making the food better. When you ride a bike, you're disconnecting from oil, and that's it.
Phil, thank you so much for your call. I think that the need to build community is absolutely at the core of any of our solutions. When I say get organized, what that means is connecting with your neighbors and people around you and understanding that you are not alone. And the billionaires profit greatly by isolating us, making us afraid, making us feel like we're all on
You're
our
listening
own.
to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.audio and video archives.
But we're not on our own, and that's why I invite you to give me a call, 202-808-9925, here on the Thom Hartmann Program. I'm Alex Lawson, looking forward to talking with you. with our Free Speech TV audience. I am going to take a Free Speech TV caller, Wayne from Florida. Wayne, you're on the air.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Alex?
Great. Thanks for calling.
I agree with the guy was talking about the guns, but the first thing, when I was 18, I started at the House Office Building. I was on the doors of the gallery when the Koch brothers, the John Birch Society, and all them guys in 1963, they were going to breach the halls, come in, knock everybody off and everything. They never got in the door. I was on the first door of the galley. I'm 81 years old now, and it's the same damn people. The same people. The Koch brothers, John Birch Society, all these phony Republicans that want to take over our country. Now, the Speaker of the House is wanting more money so that he can guard the Republicans and the congressmen and the senators. They want, I think he got $10,000 per congressman. Well, you know, they won't even pass a gun bill for us to be protected out here. We're left out in the open, but they want us to pay the money for them. Let them pay their own money. They're not afraid of anybody. Ask the Speaker. Everything is cool with Trump. He's a good man.
Wayne, thank you for your call. I agree in part that we need to have policy solutions when it comes to gun violence. We need to have policy solutions. But I also, I think that we should increase the amount of money to protect members of Congress, to protect elected officials. We've seen, there's elected Democrats assassinated in ideologically driven murders in Minnesota. We know that the forces of hate and greed are actually interested in fomenting more fear, more chaos, more carnage. And we should be putting tax dollars into a system that protects our elected officials, protects the organs of state and the organs of democracy, because that's what political violence is, not just aimed at the person themselves, but actually at undermining our entire system. And so it is something that I think we should come together on and have more robust conversation. That being said, right now, if Speaker Johnson wants to have more money for protecting the members of Congress, which again, I think is good, but he is shutting down the government in this funding fight because he's more interested in stealing health care from 15 million people, closing hospitals across this country to give trillions of dollars in tax handouts to billionaires. Right? The Democrats in the Senate, Schumer, in the House, Jeffries, they made a very reasonable offer. We will fund the government. We will keep everything going. All you have to do is stop the assault on the American people. And Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, President Trump, they all said no. The Trump shutdown is coming because it's more important for them to give our money to billionaires than anything else. That's their guiding.
Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. So have you noticed that the Republicans are pretty much not talking about a constitutional convention anymore? They used to be gung-ho to rewrite the Constitution. They wanted to put corporate personhood in there. They wanted to change it so that women can't vote. They wanted to do away with the election of senators, repeal the 17th Amendment, take us back to them being appointed by the states. They had all these they wanted to outlaw labor unions, all these weird ideas, but they've stopped talking about it. I mean, they're still moving forward on it, but it's not. Project 2025, for example, their ultimate talking document, does not have one single mention in it about a constitutional convention. Why would that be? Well, it's because the Supreme Court is doing their work for them. I mean, you know, just they have overturned Article 2. They've overturned the First, Fourth, Ninth, and 14th Amendments. They've overturned Article 1, Section 7. All the details of this whole thing are over at HartmannReport.com. You got to check it out.
Folks, the home stretch. I'm going to try my hardest to get through as many calls as possible. Let's go. Charles on XM in Florida. Charles, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for calling.
You hear me? Oh, okay, great. Well, I think you're doing a good job. I missed Tom, but you're doing good. I've listened to you over the years. My thing is this. They wanted to warn Charlie Kirk, but I remember when Obama was president, that every night on Fox News, they were begging people to stop worrying about political correctness. It had no place in our society anymore, or whatever they were preaching. And now they want you to bow down to their hero. But the reason I called in today was because, you know, I'm more than upset. I'm more than offended by what's happening to Jimmy Kimmel. And I just think part of it, are we looking at what's really going on? It's a monopoly. We have too much of a monopoly of corporations that want to own everything, and basically they're willing to sacrifice, our freedoms. Because if you think about it like democracy, but if you think about it like this, who is standing up to Trump? Who is standing up to this authoritarian? And there's no one. I mean, there's no corporation that's doing that. But they're also enjoying great tax breaks. So I think, if we want to vote, we ought to have Democrats that's willing to put it on the line and say, no, we're going to pull back these tax rates from these major corporations. And we also want to break them up. We need more competition. People need better pricing. People need a better chance to have a voice in their government. And we're drowned out by Citizens United. We're drowned out by millions of dollars. And I think, the reason why we're at this level as well is because we have too many Democrats that's also interested in getting a payday from these corporations. And, we need to pick our leaders more better.
Charles, thank you so much for the call. I couldn't agree more that the problem is consolidated money power. It is the same issue over and over and over again. The billionaires cannot stop. They don't have the ability to say that's enough. They just keep going until they have everything and there's nothing left for the people. And that is the only remedy for that is for the people to stand up and force the government to act in the people's interests, to break up monopolies, to stop mergers. But what we just saw with the firing of Jimmy Kimmel is corporations are willing to do whatever they're told in order to further the consolidation and their monopoly power. And the ability for them to spend unlimited money in politics is absolutely at the root of that. And so we do need to be clear-eyed in seeing exactly what's happening. And I tried to tell a coherent story today that showed that in all aspects of our lives, we're faced with the same story over and over and over again. And if you read Western history, you'll see it going back thousands of years. It's the same thing. Are we going to create a society, a country, a world that operates for the benefit of the few or of the many? I've only got 1 minute left. Gary on the Thom Hartmann app. We've only got a minute, so real quickly, Gary, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex. I think that what we should do, this is about Charlie Kirk. So I think we should give Charlie's death a little honor, and that we should honor his wish to release in the entirety the Epstein files. I think we should say, this is what Charlie wanted. Let's honor his death by releasing the entirety of the Epstein files.
Gary, thank you so much. It only takes one Republican vote, one vote right now. One Republican votes on the discharge petition, and the Epstein files are released. Let's honor the wishes of the majority of the American people as well. Everybody wants to get this great evil exposed to the sunlight, and all it takes is one more Republican vote. Thank you so much for joining me, Alex Lawson, filling in for Thom Hartmann. Don't worry, he's coming right back. It's been my great pleasure and honor hosting the Thom Hartmann Program and speaking with all of you. Talk soon.
You've been listening to Thom Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit thomhartmann.com.
Welcome back to the Free Speech TV Fall Pledge Drive. This is not left versus right anymore. This is about whether America remains a democracy at all, or whether we follow the path of Hungary, Turkey, and Russia, where elections still happen, but the outcomes are predetermined. That's why I titled my book, The Last American President. Because if we don't act now, Trump may be the last leader ever chosen through a truly democratic process. I mean, he's already shown us who he is. Trained by Roy Cohn, a man who believed ruthlessness was a virtue, Trump learned to see government not as a tool to serve people, but as a weapon to crush his enemies. That's why he could rip food and heating assistance away from struggling families in the dead of winter, while shoveling billions in tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. That's why he could openly praise authoritarian strongmen like Orban and Kim and Putin while betraying his own allies. This is not incompetence. It's not bluster. It's a strategy, and it's working. The Last American President is my attempt to lay bare this strategy, how democracy erodes bit by bit until one day you wake up and it's gone. But the book is also a call to action because there's still time. We've seen people rise up and reject authoritarianism before in the streets of Seoul and the plazas of Chile, here in America during the civil rights era. When people act, democracy lives. When they stay silent, democracy dies. And that's why Free Speech TV is so critical. This network doesn't answer to billionaires or corporations. It answers to you. In a media landscape dominated by right-wing propaganda and corporate spin, Free Speech TV is one of the few places left where truth still matters, where voices calling out injustice still get heard. But that only continues if you step up. Free Speech TV runs on viewer support, on your support. Without you, the lights go out. Without you, the truth goes dark. So I'm asking you, pledge your support today. The Last American President is now available through Free Speech TV, even before it's released to the public through Pledge. But more than a book, you'll be helping build a wall of resistance against authoritarianism. You'll be helping to make sure democracy has a fighting chance. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself it can't happen here. It already is. The question is, what will we do about it? So call now, 877-378-8669, to support Free Speech TV and get the good message out there. This is just a critical, critical time in the history of our country. With a $20 gift, you get the mystery bumper sticker or the mystery tote bag, your choice. They got a whole bunch of these things left over from previous fund drives, and you bumper sticker or tote bag. With a $144 gift, which sounds suspiciously like $12 a month for a year. You might want to check with them on that. I need to check with them on that, but I believe that might work. You get a signed copy of The Last American President, my new book. The Subtitle, Broken Man, A Corrupt Party, and a World on the Brink. With a $240 gift, there's the virtual meet and greet where we meet on a Zoom call. With a $250 mystery bundle, with a $250 gift, there's the mystery bundle, and with a $1,000 gift, you can come to Portland and hang out with us. So a lot there, a lot you can do. And here's a little clip for your entertainment while you are calling 877-378-8669 and or going to freespeech.org to make your contribution.
The billionaire class wants you to feel powerless. They want you to feel powerless because they are afraid of the power on this field. They're afraid of the lines of people wrapping around this high school. It's time to take on the rich. It's time to take on the ultra-powerful. Your power is what they're afraid of. Your power that is organizing unions right now in this country like we haven't seen in 100 years. Your power that can break that unholy alliance between corporate greed and corrupt government. Your power that is scaring Republican office holders right now from holding any town halls. That might be the biggest news that we've missed in the last few days, is that House Speaker Mike Johnson told all the Republican members of Congress, don't hold any town halls, don't meet with your constituents. Well, we got a little town hall here today, don't we, Tucson? These fraud politicians are so scared that they will be exposed by Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs as the fraudsters that they are. That's exactly what we intend to do. Son una bola de cobardes y ladrones. Le tienen miedo a sus propios constituyentes. Ahora es nuestro momento para quitarle el poder a esta bola de ladrones. Vamos a quitarle el trabajo. We are not going to let them get away with this. We are not. If these puppet politicians want to represent billionaires instead of the people, then they should lose their jobs in the people's house.
Call now, 877-378-8669, or go to freespeech.org and make your contribution to help keep this vital network on the air, keep this program on this network, and keep us rolling along toward a positive and progressive future. Thank you.